Thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of Positively Montana. I'm Hallie Schwinnard. Each week we travel the state looking for stories and people that inspire. Let's start with a serious topic. In less than a decade, human trafficking in Montana has increased by 2,000%. It's a growing issue many organizations are working to prevent, including one moving to the Billings area. The Worthy Ranch is a nonprofit offering support to survivors, and it's making an impact despite still looking for a place to call home.
Human trafficking and domestic abuse can happen anywhere in Montana, and for one woman, her nightmare came true here on Broadwater Avenue nearly 3 decades ago.
My attack happened 27 years ago.
The stories are endless.
I was attacked from behind.
Stories of trauma, abuse, and trafficking represented by these blue ribbons along Montana Avenue.
I put up quite a hell of a fight, but he was able to pull me between two businesses on Broadwater.
For Julia Lilithune, her nightmare happened here on Broadwater Avenue early in the morning after finishing a paper route.
And I was viciously attacked and raped and stabbed several times and left for dead.
That was 30 years ago, but she's still struggling to move on even today.
For the longest time, I just stuffed it. I just felt like I was walking around aimlessly.
Lilithune's struggle is an example of a problem that's seen exponential growth in Montana the past decade.
I don't even think that I understood how much it happens in Montana until I moved here.
Heather Estes, the founder of the Worthy Ranch, a nonprofit hoping to provide a safe space for victims, says Montana has become a hub.
The freeways that run straight to borders, the reservations, the vulnerable population that is here. It's sad, but that's the reality, that it's here in our backyard.
And that's why Estes moved here in 2019, hoping to use her program, which focuses on self-worth, career development, and equine therapy like this at Angel Horses to make a difference.
Our goal is to get that program up and running here locally within this next year.
Currently, they're collecting donations and looking for their own land. The past couple years, it's been a pilot program already making an impact.
Our recent program, the pilot, helped 10 survivors here locally.
And you feel seen and heard and believed.
Lilithune is one of those 10 who says the Worthy Ranch has helped give her back her life.
I needed a purpose, and it helped me identify my core values.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
A Montana midwife is on a life-changing mission, bringing hope and healing to mothers in Africa. She's using her skills to make a difference, but says for her, this journey is personal, and other Montanans are helping her raise the money to make it a reality.
For 15 years, Katrina Rausch has been there for Montana's biggest moments.
I was volunteering at a pregnancy clinic, and across my desk came an advertisement for a midwifery convention at an Amish community.
Midwives have been guiding life into the world for centuries, offering care, comfort, and specialized skills through pregnancy, birth, and beyond. When Katrina first moved to Billings, her mentor was the only independent midwife for miles, making something of a maternity care desert, a challenge not totally overcome with Billings Clinic ending its midwifery services.
She was the only midwife between Billings and the Dakotas, and then at the time, in Wyoming, it was illegal to have an out-of-hospital birth.
Today, the Billings community is giving to Katrina and her nonprofit, First Breath International, so she can go abroad and share her experience, something she's done for over a decade.
We are doing a silent auction this evening, and the VIG is also giving 20% of its proceeds. It's very important to have midwives to be able to go into rural areas, which is something that we have here in Montana.
So far, First Breath has raised $7,000 of $25,000 to send Katrina and company across parts of Africa with kits to keep people alive.
And this contains everything to possibly save the life of 2 people at a birth. We'll hold clinics in small rural areas. It will feel very much like Eastern Montana.
While the kits include pregnancy-specific medications and sanitation supplies, the organization says it's still in need of the bare essentials.
We need basic medications, Tylenol, Advil, prenatal vitamins, things like that they don't have access to.
Marcus Kakova, MTN News.
The Producer Partnership was founded in 2020 as a way for neighbors to help each other's in need during COVID. 5 years later, and the program is still going strong. And farmers recently donated more than 3,600 pounds of beef to Big Sandy.
92 boxes, 3,600 pounds. That's what's being unloaded behind me. 14,000 meals of local raised beef.
In November, we sent 12 beef down to Producer Partnership to get processed. And today, they're bringing the beef back.
Those beef have now been returned as meals for the local community.
The local producers are bringing this back, and they want these kids to have the very best. We know where it's coming from, we know what we're sending down, and we know what the end result's going to be.
Between producers, financial supporters, and others helping out, about 15 people are involved in the community to make this happen.
We've had more producers coming to us and saying, hey, I'd like to be part of this program. So we're really excited about the future and what it holds.
Local meat, made possible through the nonprofit Meat Processing Company, allows for communities in Montana to support themselves and increase access to nutrition for their school children and senior citizens alike.
So, we figure between 12 to 16 beef a year is what we're looking at. We'll know more as the time goes on and we get more target numbers.
With more growth in the program planned, the Big Sandy area is doing what it can to support long-term health and growth for their community.
I don't know how else to describe it, but it's a very prideful thing for our community. Our community did the heavy lifting on this, and it's just, we're pioneer proud. Absolutely. Big Sandy takes care of itself, and it's doing it once again. Last box.
Big Sandy, I'm Jaden Furlan, MTN News.
Are we done?
Bowls are being made for an upcoming fundraiser that feeds school kids in Butte. This is an annual event that's been helping fund the backpack program for the past 12 years.
After coming out of this kiln at 2,300 degrees, this plain little bowl is going to look as spectacular as this bowl. This is a part of the Empty Bowl programs, which for a dozen years has been making beautiful handcrafted bowls and feeding Butte's children.
Butte's always amazing. It's a community that gives, and it gives, and it gives.
Since last September, volunteers in the community have been spending their weekends throwing bowls at the Hungry Hills Center. These bowls will be sold at the Butte Emergency Food Bank's Empty Bowls program on April 2nd at the Butte Civic Center. This event raises money for the backpack program that provides school-age kids with food for the weekends and over the summer.
When we first started it 12 years ago, this is our 12th year now, we noticed right away in the elementary schools that when the kids come and they're not hungry on Monday morning, it's a lot easier for them to learn, and they're a lot happier.
About 25 local artists made more than 1,000 bowls for the fundraiser of various sizes and designs. Bowls are still being fired up in the kiln.
A lot of these that you see here then turn into those over there. When you open the kiln and see what comes out, there's just amazing artwork.
Tickets for the fundraiser are on sale now at the Butte Emergency Food Bank or the Butte Civic Center. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Still to come on this edition of Positively Montana, from thrifting to helping pets in need. Hear how the Big Sky community is coming together to open its very first animal shelter. Stay with us.
More stories from the heart of the Treasure State are on the way when Positively Montana continues after this. Welcome back to Positively Montana, sponsored by Benefice Health System.
Welcome back to Positively Montana. Our state spans nearly 150,000 square miles, making it the fourth largest state in the U.S. That's a lot of land to cover. And when residents in Big Sky saw a need in their community, they stepped up. A local grant is helping bring the community its first ever animal shelter.
Hello, you just caught me shopping. When you think of Big Sky Thrift, you might not think of animal shelters, but due to a massive donation, there might just be an animal shelter and a vet clinic right here in Big Sky.
You know, when we opened the thrift store, I used to say, how do we not have a thrift store? And it's the same thing with the vet. How do we not have a permanent vet clinic and an animal shelter in Big Sky?
Emily Burke is the Associate Director of Big Sky Thrift. After opening 2 years ago, it's a popular hotspot for selling more than 200 items a day.
Yes, we feel this is one of the busiest businesses in Big Sky. We are truly one of the only life essential stores here, so places you can buy individual silverware and cheap bedding and towels.
Burke tells me if there is one thing Big Sky needs,
there are so many furry friends here in the valley.
Whether it's a wagging tail, a curious nose, or the tiniest paw.
So important that we can have care and overnight care. That was one gap that the vet was missing, is she didn't have overnight care. So you were commuting to Bozeman, and from West Yellowstone at 11 o'clock at night, that's a long evening if you have to go all the way to Bozeman just to help your furry friends.
Dr. Sid Damaris of Lone Peak Veterinarian is excited to get this project off the ground. And with the help of Big Sky Thrift,
this year we gave our biggest grant to date, $150,000 to RUF, or Riley's Urgent Fund for Friends. They also work with Dr. Sydney at Lone Peak Vet, and we gave them this grant to build the first permanent animal shelter and vet clinic in Big Sky. This will also be the most accessible vet clinic for Ennis and West Yellowstone folks.
The facility will be located behind Caliber Coffee. Burke tells me Big Sky is growing and changing.
Big Sky is turning into a real town. We're having all kinds of new things come up, and we're so happy to be the thrift store where whether you shop, donate, or volunteer, it all stays in Big Sky. And we are so happy to fund projects that help to build our town to support our community members.
In Big Sky, Megan Elaine, MTN News.
Rodeo offers numerous events throughout the year here in Montana. It plays a big role attracting tourists from all around the world to experience authentic rodeo action. And one of the youngest rodeo queens in the nation calls Montana home. She's on a mission to inspire fans and spread kindness wherever she goes.
At pro rodeos across Montana, you'll see plenty of high-profile athletes in the arena. They're world champions, they're heroes to some. But the most heroic person at this particular rodeo in Great Falls is a 9-year-old girl.
As rodeo fans stream out of the arena,
do you want one?
They're greeted by Elena Hutchings.
You make my heart happy.
Who comes bearing gifts.
You're welcome.
She and her family are handing out stick horses to every child in attendance.
Yep, you can have one.
She brightens their day and only asks for one thing in return.
I love it when I see everyone smile.
It's personal for Elena. A few years ago, she didn't have much to smile about.
Elena was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor when she's 6. Her brain tumor, there's nothing they could do for it. She doesn't qualify for chemo radiation because her brain tumor is embedded in her brainstem.
Thank you, everyone, for a present and a prayers.
Elena spent a lot of time at the hospital during COVID lockdowns, away from home and away from her family.
I was not happy there. I wanted to go home right now because I missed my brother, I missed my animals, I really missed my house. I missed everything.
And she's made it her mission to make sure no one feels the way she did, planning to visit 50 children's hospitals in 50 states to distribute toys.
We only want to do that to help the kids to be happy for they don't be left out, because some, pretend there's 10 kids and they have 9 toys, and one can get left out. We want to give them more for all of them can get more supported.
Elena's efforts caught the attention of rodeo royalty.
Put it to the pile.
And it led to a new title, Little Miss Rodeo Universe. And that allowed Elena a new way to share her gifts, even the ones you can't see.
Because I lost my daughter too, so.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
You do something fun. Buy yourself whatever you want.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
When she was diagnosed, we were like any other parent. You know, you're scared, you don't know what to do. You want more answers, but there is none. But literally when it comes down to the bottom of it, The only answer is for that kid to live her life at the fullest every day.
We gotta stay Chico!
Tom Wiley, MTN News.
Outside Joliet, history comes alive in a muzzleloader shootout where competitors fire guns dating back to the 1400s. We're talking black powder and smoke as shooters honor centuries-old technology with a flash into the past, one shot at a time.
Well, this has got to be the coolest stand-up I've ever done.
Turns out, I love the smell of black powder in the morning. Just outside of Joliet are my kind of people.
I'm going to plan to shoot that today. And if I don't get my head blown off shooting this thing.
Like our forefathers of old, here, blowing things to pieces takes at least 5 minutes of effort.
This is 1800 stuff. Powder patch ball. Yeah, that kind of just seals all the gases and all that in.
While any hit is worth the wait.
That's what a 50 caliber does to pieces of steel.
Chad Cullum and Todd Beaker say the more challenging, the better.
With the wind blowing, I'm thinking about trying to stay steady. You would have knocked it down and paralyzed it on the backbone there.
Something about antiquated technology that doesn't spit 600 to 1,000 rounds per minute makes the kick harder, the ring louder, puts a certain smile on your face.
You can see where he hit the deer right here. For me, it'd be almost impossible because I don't have a rifle. I've got pistols. So this is a fantastic shot. With the wind blowing the way it is today and the distance and all.
Marcus Kakova, MTN News.
Still to come on this edition of Positively Montana, from layoffs to disease, one man's battle with life with a strong support system right by his side. His story right after the break.
Positively Montana continues after this.
Welcome back to Positively Montana. The closure of the Stillwater mine shocked the community. Its impact to families is still being felt. But the hits keep coming for Steve Downing of Park City, who was laid off, then got diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. Despite the blows, his support system is not giving up hope.
My whole life he worked there.
For nearly 3 decades, Steve Downing could be found here.
I've always known my dad to work at the mine.
At the Stillwater mine, working a variety of jobs for 27 years.
We all knew something was going to happen, but I don't think anyone thought it was going to be the big number that it was.
But back in September, things changed as the mine announced they would be letting go of nearly 700 employees, with Downing being one of them.
To see him eventually do something different, it's kind of a shock.
There were over 600 people, I think, that got laid off, and so it impacted the community.
News that stunned hundreds of Stillwater County families. For the Downings, it hit twice.
Trying to follow in his footsteps, work there also, and then it happens to both of us.
His oldest son, Corbin, was included in the devastating layoffs as well.
Overall, it was still very stressful for our family and for the whole community.
I was just hoping that he would be able to find something to stay here because he's been here and he has 2 little grandkids.
With questions already swirling about the family's future, issues arose while Steve was building a new shop with his sons.
My dad would go inside after an hour or 2 and just would not feel good.
Working half days and then worked a little less and then a little less, and his energy just kept going down.
After weeks of struggle, Steve checked into a Billings hospital. A 2-night stay led to a life-changing diagnosis.
It was tough. It was hard for everybody, Steve included.
At 50 years old, Steve was diagnosed with lymphoma and flown to Denver for treatment, where he still remains.
Cancer is just a strong word, so you hear cancer, you think the worst. My mind's going everywhere.
Devastating news for the family, creating a huge financial burden.
He's always been our prime income and prime insurance.
But the community has rallied, supporting the family's GoFundMe page and most importantly, helping the 3 kids continue their lives.
It's really hard as a mom to not be there with my kids, but the community has really assured me.
A massive help for this family, who remain confident in their father's ability to persevere.
Family's his biggest thing, and I know he's never going to give up on anything.
In Park City, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Firefighters work hard year-round, but each year they do a little extra training as they prepare for the annual Lymphoma and Leukemia Society Firefighter Stair Climb. The event combines fundraising with fitness, climbing 69 flights of stairs in hopes of raising $3 million.
These are the stairs at the DoubleTree. The firefighters will go up these 4 times to simulate what they have in Seattle. Much faster pace than this. They say they're ready and they have plenty of motivation.
Here we go, boys. Got it? Let's do it. Here we go, guys.
There's nothing that can prepare you for 69 straight flights of stairs on air in full gear.
But it's something Assistant Training Chief Chris Voller is proud to do in honor of his son, 6-year-old Tristan, who had his final treatment and overcame leukemia last year. Tristan was there at the end of the climb last year to celebrate with his dad.
For me as his dad, it was pretty personal. Once I got to the top, once I finished my grueling climb, he was right there with a big smile on his face waiting for Dad. It was amazing.
All the Billings firefighters will climb in honor of Tristan and other cancer patients.
All the kids battling cancer, you really feel for them, and if this is something we could do to support them, I don't think climbing stairs is all that bad.
There's a bond among all firefighters and even closer with others in Montana, including Missoula firefighter Andrew Drobeck, who has won the Montana Marathon and has taken the top spot at the stair climb 6 times.
He's done a phenomenal job, raising awareness and money for this foundation. So great guy to look up to, great role model for younger guys like myself.
And on this day, those working at the DoubleTree during practice admire the firefighters' commitment.
It's coming from their heart. It's something that there's got to be a drive there that makes them do that. And it makes me feel safe. So I appreciate them very much.
This is a really challenging building, and if we ever did have an issue, I feel very confident that they would be on it and take care of us. So it's nice to see them working hard.
When you think about the motivation, every person on this team has a reason that they are doing this climb for.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Positively Montana. I'm Hallie Schwinnard, and I'll see you right back here next week.